We are just over halfway through Justin Fields' very first season in the NFL. And my boy has 1 million followers on Instagram. 1 million, Dan Wiederer. He's
on
Dan
Instagram.
Tribune. I'm Dionne Miller from ABC7. 1 million. And he's only posted 60 times.
I ran the math. I know you're a numbers gal.
I am.
16,666 followers per Instagram post for Justin Fields.
Per post. That's unbelievable. I wish I had known how many he had coming out of the Ohio State University, but I'm gathering that after his performance on Monday night, that might have been when he hit the 1 million mark, because wow, did he take a huge step, and did he need to, coming out of that San Francisco game where he casually was like, yeah, I guess that was my best game as a pro. And then he topped it in such impressive fashion. Yes, I know they lost, but his development in the face of the way that game ended, I think is a really important thing to note.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the halfway point of the season, because it used to be after the 8th game was the halfway point of the season. Well, right now it's the halftime of the 9th game, right? With 17 games. So Justin Fields' first half of the season ended at halftime in Pittsburgh. Second half started in the third quarter, and boy, did he get off to a good start to the second half of the 2021 season. The Bears put up 287 yards of offense in the second half on the road against a quality defense on the Monday Night Football stage. They should have had 3 second-half touchdowns. If James Daniels doesn't get called for that phantom low block, negating the Jimmy Graham touchdown catch, they would have had 3 touchdowns in the second half of the game. They haven't had 3 touchdowns in a game all season. I think they did it one time this year against the Lions in week 4. That is the stuff that gets people excited. They go over 400 yards for the first time since last year. There are a lot of things to like about the way that football team played in the second half of that game in Pittsburgh, and particularly with Justin, the growth you saw and the confidence you saw. And we can get into a lot more of that as we go forward here.
I wish there had been a camera on him. Maybe there was in the fourth quarter when Nagy said he looked over at him and he had a smile on his face because he knew his time was coming. And he even said in the postgame, he was like, before they drove down and took the lead for that hot minute, he's like, this is why I'm here. Like, this is what I came here for. And he did it. And it was so impressive, and it was so exciting, and it was unexpected, right? Like, you're just waiting for the way that game started. You just thought the Bears might get blown out. And then for them to be taking the lead in the fourth quarter because of him. It's the second week in a row that the defense has to acknowledge that he did everything he needed to do. He got the offense and our team in position to win, and we let you down. And that is where I think heading into the second half of the season, things have to get shored up, because now they can put the two things together and they can start to actually win these games.
We'll get more into the defense in a little bit, but Justin Fields entered that fourth quarter down 20-6 on the road to the Pittsburgh Steelers. In years past, that's a death sentence for the Chicago Bears offense. It's a death sentence for Chicago Bears quarterbacks. No one has shown the ability to rise up and meet that moment. Again, they're down 26-20 before their second to last drive of that game, and Justin's over there saying, this is my time, right? Yeah. And Darnell Mooney tells you after the game that there was just an energy among the offensive players that they wanted that opportunity to have the ball in their hands with a chance to go win the game. And they go down the field and they do it. 7 plays, 75 yards, 39-yard shot to Allen Robinson up the right sideline, the touchdown pass to Darnell Mooney, which, by the way, is off script, right? Justin Fields, pressure in the pocket. He's got to get out to his left. And not only does he escape the pocket, he does so in a way that's just so calm and collected. And he just makes a throw to one of his favorite targets. You can see the connection building between Fields and Mooney, the trust he had on that throw. Mooney runs a hitch route to the 5-yard line, then sees, Justin's on the move. I got to start heading this way. And for them to hit that schoolyard play in that moment of the game, it tells you everything about the moxie of those players and this quarterback in particular. Dionne, we talked after Justin was drafted about the buzzword coming out of Halas Hall being presence, right? Mm-hmm. That's what all the coaches were talking about Justin in the spring, this presence that he brings. Well, it was obvious Monday night, because when you have that level of self-belief, when you have that infectious confidence about you, that's presence, and guys gravitate to that, right? And it becomes a snowball. And the snowball, I think, is probably about this size after Monday night. Now they need to get that thing to roll through the second half of the season.
You know, I noticed this last week at Halas Hall before this Monday night game, coming out of San Francisco and that 4th and 1 touchdown run that he had, and hearing the defensive guys talk about the electricity that he brought to
it's everything,
team.
Right?
And it's what I'm saying there is that this is what a franchise quarterback is, right? He's the leader that everybody follows, no matter what unit you're on or whatever. He's the face of the team. he's the one who brings everybody along and is hopefully elevating everybody around him. And that doesn't matter what position you play. That's just part of being in the room with him, right? And I think that's the presence that I'm seeing. And it's the first time I've covered this team for 10 years. This is the first time that I've heard defensive players talk about their offense that way. And I think that will be positive down the road, but I think we need to start seeing it even this season.
Well, here's what I've loved about Justin, getting to know him a little bit better as we've had time with him over the last 5 or 6 months. Number one, he's very grounded in the process, right? And you feel that every week, his understanding that this isn't going to be an express elevator to the top floor of the building, right? That there's going to be stops along the way. He's going to have to figure out, some bumps. He's going to have to work through some valleys. He's going to have to find ways to do it. But along with that grounded nature of understanding what the process is, he's got this certitude about him where he knows that eventually he's going to be very good in this league.
Yes.
He knows it, right? And it comes off of him every time you talk to him. It's every moment, okay, this is building towards something that is eventually going to be up here. And I know that I'm talented enough, gifted enough, driven enough, smart enough to be a great quarterback in this league. And because I know that, it's going to be fuel for this journey. That's really, really cool. And it's something that we haven't experienced in Chicago in probably forever.
Probably forever. Dan, he doesn't wear number 1 by accident.
Right.
Like that wasn't just like the jersey he got handed when he was a little kid. Like he picks it because that's what he believes about himself. I fully believe that. I think that's factual. I mean, he wants to wear number 1 because he wants to be the best. The end. And I appreciate that about him. And I also appreciated what he said when he was like, I don't know if he mentioned it to the ref. I'm trying to remember correctly, but was like, hey, why did you give that call to Big Ben and not to me? And then, quoting Joe Burrows and talking about the fact that, I'm a young quarterback. I'm not going to get those calls, but eventually I will. Like you're right. He's so grounded in what's happening. He doesn't get like this, like the fans do, right? Like he stays so present and even keel and kind of like, all right, well, this is the moment. And all right. I mean, even when he talked about the touchdown pass to Jimmy Graham that didn't count, and he was like, you turn around, you see the flag, you're just devastated. But then you move on, and you're like, but was there any emotion involved in there? Like
right.
He just seems so calm about that, which is really impressive for 22 years old.
It's a we got this vibe, right? It's a we got this and I got this. And that's the stuff that's infectious. That's the stuff that fosters belief from a coaching staff, from a group of guys in the huddle, from defensive players as well, that says, we got this, right?
Yeah.
Now, they should have had this, right? They still lost the game in the end because the defense with a 1-point lead in the final 2 minutes couldn't get one last stop. And that's been a problem the last 2 weeks, where these moments for Justin Fields, the touchdown run against the 49ers, this impressive second half, should be rewarded with victories that then get the momentum building even exponentially more than it is. And so these 2 losses the last 2 weeks are bothersome because they've interrupted what should be this absolute jolt of energy for the entire franchise. Can you imagine if they went into the bye week at 5-4 with wins over the 49ers and Pittsburgh in the fashion that those wins would have come? This place would be electric right now. People would be talking about not only chasing down a wild card berth, but being capable of making a run in January. They lose these games and now they're 3-6. And now you have to make different decisions organizationally about how you're going to handle some things. Khalil Mack's foot, for one thing, right?
Yeah.
Like what's the practical play there? But the fact of the matter is that Justin Fields has shown an ability to be a breakout quarterback as a rookie. And this is why you play a quarterback as a rookie, so that he has these experiences under his belt for when games like Monday nights mean more than they meant Monday night, right? When you're playing a late season game with the division championship on the line, when you're in the postseason eventually, and you've got this library of experiences where you say, hey, remember in Pittsburgh, down 6, 7 plays, 75 yards? Let's do that. And everybody goes, okay, let's do that.
And that's the other thing too, is like the throws that we saw him make, even against the 49ers, but then again against the Steelers, were reminiscent of the way he played at Ohio State. This is stuff that comes from his library of experience that the last quarterback did not have, right? He didn't have that library of experience. And so you didn't trust that moment with him because this was a first for him. Now Justin has this like treasure trove of success that at every different level. And even when he's not losing, you still see that calmness because he's like, but I know that I'm going to win. Like I know that is going to happen. And even him sitting on the sidelines, it's, again, he's not on a roller coaster of emotions like the rest of us are, but he just is so calm. And like you see he's always nodding. He's always smiling. He's always connecting with a teammate. And I feel like that stuff is really infectious too. And it's going to make him an incredible leader for this group.
I remember in the pre-draft process of 2017 doing extensive research on Deshaun Watson, and you heard people talk about him in a similar regard in regards to that national championship game against Clemson twice in the fourth quarter, got the ball with his team needing a touchdown, delivered with that confidence and that calm confidence that makes everybody else around you in a moment that feels so big and pressure packed feel like we're cool. We've got this. We're gonna go down and we're gonna score these points and we're gonna let this glory live for eternity, right?
Yeah.
Now, Justin's got to do that in bigger moments and bigger NFL games in his career, but you can tell it's in his DNA that he likes being in those moments. He's not scared of them. He's not trying to figure out whether he can rise up and meet him. He just wants the moment to come, and then he's going to rise up and meet him, and that's really cool. Everyone at Halas Hall should be very excited about that, even as they get away from Halas Hall for 6 or 7 days and they go their separate ways for the bye week.
Well, here's my question. Okay, so they have to minimum take 4 days off. Matt Nagy gave them 5. They didn't win, but he gave them 5. They lost 4 in a row. They gave him 5. Is the bye week coming at a bad time? Like, you have that momentum from Justin, and you know his, from what we know of his personality, he's going to get back for a couple days, but he's going to want to be taking that next step. Is it bad to take the week off now?
I don't think so. I think it's good for everybody, including Justin, to just take a breath, to hit reset. Now, look, it's going to be short. They played Monday night. They didn't get back until the wee hours of Tuesday morning. Monday's practice is going to come just like that, lickety split, and everybody's going to be back in the groove of things. It's not going to feel like, boy, this was an extended layoff. I think they have to just build on what they did the other night because, listen, this team does not surpass 400 total yards.
No.
Ever, right? This is the first time they've done it this season. I think they've only done it 5 times over the last 3 years combined. This team does not score 3 touchdowns in a game.
No.
Almost had 3.5 the other day. So they got to raise that bar and figure out how to do that. But there was a lot of positive things. I think they hit 6 completions for at least 20 yards Monday night. Previous 4 games combined 8 completions of at least 20 yards. So you saw an offense that looked like a 2021 version of NFL offense, complementing the run with the pass, stretching the field vertically, getting guys like Mooney, Robinson, Kmet involved, still having David Montgomery to lean on. And all of a sudden you said, man, there's a young nucleus here. It's not just Justin, it's Montgomery, Mooney, Kmet. And if you convince Allen Robinson to stick around beyond the season, you got something there. And you should feel very good about trying to build that here over the final 8 games.
It's just been a long time since they lost games because the defense let them down. And now that's happened twice in a row. So it's that, I think, is somewhat concerning. What they do with Khalil Mack, how he feels coming out of this bye week is huge. I think that for some of the miscues that happened on defense, they're missing him. I understand he's not the quarterback of that defense, but he does keep everybody in line, right? And I think that they're missing that, getting him back. Hopefully Akeem is healthy. They've got to start putting it together there. The last 2 weeks have been alarming. And I know Desai talks about it. It starts with me and all the right things. He says all the right things, but gosh, this is the pressure is going to start to mount, especially if the offense is holding up their end of the deal for the first time and the defense can't complement it.
So again, we talked about in August, the need for this defense to make game-changing plays, right?
Yeah.
We talked about sacks and takeaways. Well, the sacks have come this year. They're in the top 5 in the league with 25 sacks through 9 games. That's been impressive. The pass rush has been humming. Robert Quinn has been resurgent. They've been able to get consistent pressure for the most part, take out that 3-week stretch where they got no pressure against Rodgers, Brady, and Garoppolo. The takeaways aren't coming. They got this big fancy takeaway bucket that they rolled out in training camp. It was supposed to be this energizing force. The takeaways aren't coming. They've got 4 interceptions for the season, Dionne. 3 of them came on 3 consecutive possessions against Joe Burrow in week 2.
Right.
Only 1 since, right? That can't happen. You need guys to make plays. You need playmakers to make plays. You need more than 8 takeaways as a defense through a half of a season. That's got to be an emphasis on the back half of the schedule. It's going to require Khalil Mack getting healthy. It's going to require Eddie Jackson returning. It's going to require Akeem Hicks being healthy enough to have his impact up front. It's going to require guys like Eddie Goldman to build on what was a promising performance for him Monday night. But you need more of those game-changing plays so that when your offense does deliver a quote-unquote moment, as Matt Nagy called it on Monday night, you can back it up with the exclamation point, and it's not just a footnote on how the game ended.
Right, exactly. And that's what they have to focus on right now, and hopefully reset for that in the second half and come back ready and hungry to kind of set the tone for these last 8 games. Wow, my math really.
There's 8 left.
But last 8 games, by the end of the season, Justin Fields is going to have 1.5 million followers on Instagram.
And you will too.
I mean, what is that 1 million followers on Instagram? He has how many touchdown passes? 4, 5?
I have to go back and look.
That's more math. You'll have to figure out how many followers he gets per touchdown.
It's
Because
not
if
that
it
many.
doubles by the end of the season, I think that's a good thing.
But this most recent touchdown pass was so pretty.
It was so pretty. It was like artwork. I mean, it was so pretty. Yeah.
It was weird because leaving that game on Monday night, you even felt it from certain players on the Bears that there was a palpable level of disappointment, but there was also a bit of positive energy percolating below that, because it was like, oh man, this is possible, right? This is possible that this offense can snap this funk of being so stagnant and so brutal. And part of the reason is because that quarterback is so good, and we're figuring out what he does well. He's figuring out what we do well. And now we got to get time on task to make it all be better more consistently. And that's been the problem forever. It won't get any easier. I mean, the schedule's still tough. They come out of the bye week with the Ravens coming to town, and then you've got Thanksgiving in Detroit, and then Kyler Murray coming to town. And then 2 weeks after that, Aaron Rodgers welcomes you up to Lambeau Field. So I don't think the win-loss.
Can we ask for Jordan Love that day? Like, can it be Jordan Love that day?
you never know what's going to happen, right?
You never know.
The Chiefs got their wish.
I know. So we'll see what happens. Lots of football left. I'm glad. I think it's good. But you know what? You know who needs a weekend off? I think you and I. Yeah, we need a weekend off. I do. Very excited about this bye weekend.
Mine's going to start as soon as I hit end broadcast in the upper right corner here, and off I go.
Same. I'm just about done.
That's all I got.
Same. All done. Peach Pit After Dark. Do you like in the After Dark?
We had to film this After Dark because the schedules. You're not getting the same natural daylight in there. It's dark in my home office here. It is like the Peach Pit After Dark.
Peach Pit After Dark, which was always a good time.
Was Nat still running the Peach Pit After Dark, or did Nat leave when it was just the Peach Pit?
I think he was still there before he turned it over to whoever started dating Tiffany Amber Thiessen, right?
Who was that?
I can see his face. He looked a lot like the guy who ran the Max on Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, we're going to have a full 90210 related episode here at some point.
Don't even get me started.
I might. Val was Tiffany Amber Thiessen's name in the show, so please don't disrespect her name by just calling her Tiffany Amber Thiessen. Val was a critical character to the latter years of 90210.
She was. And to the Peach Pit After Dark. She ran After Dark, didn't she?
That's where I'm going during the bye weekend. I'm going to the Peach Pit After Dark and staying until it's closed.
I just want to sleep uninterrupted. That's all I want.
Probably what I'll do too.
I know. All right. Well, enjoy the bye weekend, Dan. We'll see you on the other side.
See you later.